Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Lira. I'm a college student, and honestly, I used to think insurance was one of those boring grown up topics that nobody really pays attention to. I thought insurance was just paperwork, something people buy because they are told they should, something you pay for and hope you never use. I used to think, I don't even own a house. I live in a small apartment. I don't have expensive things. What exactly am I protecting? I remember sitting in my apartment one evening during the semester. I had my laptop open. I was finishing assignments. I had snacks all over my desk. Laundry was piled on a chair. My TV was playing in the background. Pretty normal college life. I looked around my apartment and thought, this place isn't fancy. It's just student stuff. I had a laptop, some clothes, a TV, my phone, kitchen stuff, a coffee machine I used almost every day, a gaming console, just regular things. Nothing that felt expensive by itself. But then I started adding things in my head. Everything together? Wow, that was actually thousands of dollars. I remember laughing and thinking, no way I'd ever lose all this at once. Then life decided to give me a very expensive lesson. And trust me, it involved a hurricane. And it completely changed how I think about renter's insurance. So let me tell you what happened. A few days later, things around town started feeling different. People were talking about a storm in the Gulf. At first, I wasn't paying much attention. Where I live, hurricane warnings happen pretty often. Usually people say, we'll just get some rain. It'll probably change direction. No big deal. That was exactly what I thought too. But then I started seeing grocery stores getting crowded. Gas stations had long lines. Weather updates became more serious. Then my phone buzzed. Evacuation warning. Suddenly things felt real. I remember standing in my apartment looking around, and I started asking myself, wait, what am I supposed to bring? I grabbed clothes, my laptop, my phone charger, some important documents, a few snacks, and my backpack was already getting full. Then I looked around again. My TV stayed, my furniture stayed, my books stayed, my kitchen stuff stayed, my decorations stayed. Pretty much my entire apartment stayed. I locked my door thinking, it's fine. I'll be back in a few days. Honestly, I was more worried about missing classes and assignments than anything else. I got into my car and drove away. I had absolutely no idea that I was seeing my apartment exactly as it looked for the last time. The evacuation itself was stressful, but while I was away, I kept thinking, okay, the storm should pass. I'll go back home, I'll clean up a little, and life will go back to normal. Then I started seeing photos online. Flooded streets, cars underwater, apartment buildings surrounded by water. I felt my stomach drop. I remember thinking, no, not my apartment. A day later, residents finally got updates. Parts of my apartment complex had severe flood damage. Some units had water inside, some had major damage, some people couldn't return. I just sat there staring at my phone. I kept hoping, maybe my place is okay. Days later, I was finally allowed back. I walked toward my building and immediately knew something was wrong. Everything looked different. The smell, the damage, the silence. Then I opened my apartment door. Water had been inside. Furniture was ruined. My TV was destroyed. My clothes were soaked. Books were damaged. Kitchen items were ruined. And my laptop, the laptop with my schoolwork, was gone. I just stood there, completely frozen. Because suddenly I realized I wasn't looking at a messy apartment anymore. I was looking at thousands of dollars disappearing right in front of me. I remember sitting outside my apartment building feeling completely overwhelmed. I kept thinking, how am I going to replace all this? I'm a college student. I don't have thousands of dollars sitting in my bank account. I started mentally adding everything up. Laptop, phone accessories, clothes, shoes, furniture, TV, kitchen items, textbooks. And suddenly those small things didn't seem small anymore. Then I remembered something. A few months earlier, when I signed my lease, the apartment office asked if I had renter's insurance. I almost skipped it. I remember thinking, why would I need that? But I signed up because it was inexpensive. And suddenly I thought, wait, I have renter's insurance. I immediately pulled out my phone and looked for my policy information. Then I started remembering the insurance ideas we learn in personal finance. Insurance transfers financial risk. Instead of paying a small chance of a huge loss by myself, I paid smaller regular payments called premiums. Now I wasn't alone trying to absorb the financial damage. I still felt stressed, but for the first time, since seeing my apartment, I finally felt a little hope. The next morning, I called my insurance company. Honestly, I thought it was going to be complicated and scary. But the representative started asking simple questions. What happened? When did the damage occur? What items were affected? Do you have photos? Do you have receipts? Then I learned something important. Insurance doesn't just hand you money automatically. You file something called a claim. A claim is your request for payment under your insurance policy. So I started walking through everything. I made a list: laptop, TV, clothes, shoes, books, furniture, kitchen supplies, small electronics. I even realized things I completely forgot about. My headphones, my desk lamp, my backpack, my coffee machine, things I barely thought about before. The representative also explained another important term: deductible. A deductible is the amount you pay out of your own pocket before insurance coverage begins. So, even though insurance would help me, I still had to pay part of the loss myself. Then they explained something that surprised me even more. My policy included additional living expenses. I remember thinking, wait, what does that mean? And that answer changed my entire week. I learned that because my apartment was temporarily unlivable, my renter's insurance could help cover additional living expenses. I had never paid attention to that part before. Honestly, I didn't even know it existed. The representative explained it simply. If a covered event forces you out of your home, the policy may help with reasonable extra costs while you cannot live there. Suddenly, I realized something. I had already been spending extra money: hotel costs, restaurant meals, extra gas, basic necessities. Things started adding up really fast. I remember thinking, if I had to pay for all of this myself too, I'd be in serious trouble. Because losing your apartment isn't just losing your stuff. Life keeps moving. You still need a place to sleep. You still need food. You still need basic daily needs. I kept every receipt. I saved documents. I uploaded information for my claim. And for the first time, during that entire situation, I wasn't thinking, how am I survive this financially? I was thinking, okay, maybe I can actually recover from this. While everything was being processed, I had a lot of time to think, and I realized I had been completely wrong about renter's insurance. I used to think renter's insurance was protecting an apartment, but that isn't really the point. The building itself usually belongs to the property owner. Renter's insurance mainly protects you and your belongings: your laptop, your clothes, your furniture, your TV, your personal items. And depending on the policy, it can also help with certain liability situations and additional living expenses. I also learned something important. Not every event is automatically covered. Policies have limits, policies have exclusions, and coverage can differ from one policy to another. That's why understanding your policy matters. I also learned that paying a small premium every month felt tiny compared to replacing thousands of dollars by myself. Before all this happened, insurance felt like an unnecessary expense. After all this happened, it felt like one of the smartest financial decisions I had ever made. A few weeks later, things slowly started getting better. I replaced my laptop. I bought new clothes. I started rebuilding my apartment. Classes became normal again. Life slowly started feeling like life. And honestly, I felt incredibly grateful. Not because I avoided the hurricane. I didn't. Not because I avoided losing things. I didn't. But because one financial decision helped keep a disaster from becoming a financial disaster too. If there's one thing I want you to remember from my story, it's this: unexpected events happen. Risk cannot completely disappear, but we can manage risk. And insurance helps transfer some of that financial burden when life surprises us. As college students, it's easy to think, that won't happen to me. Trust me, I used to think that too. Thank you for spending time with me today and listening to my story. I'm Lira. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.